Hello, guys, and welcome to a very special episode of Eye on the Storm. Gillyweed and I are here. We are usually here. We also have a guest, but we'll introduce you to him in just a moment. This is Eye on the Storm. In case you don't know what you're watching, it is a Heroes of the Storm talk show where every week we talk about what's going on in the community of Heroes of the Storm, talk about playing the game of Heroes of the Storm, and talk a little bit about cool things we saw happen that week. And we're on Misscliks, JC.
Yeah, Misscliks is a community dedicated to uplifting females in the geek and gaming scene. We have a ton of different shows with really cool female role models on them, some about Dungeons and Dragons, board gaming, indie games too. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and you can find old episodes of this show and others on YouTube, all at Misscliks, Misscliks. But before we get into this week's episode, we want to introduce our guest from Blizzard himself. We have Kent-Erik Hagman, game designer.
Hello.
And you guys have probably seen Kent-Erik before. He's been a guest on our show a couple times, and you guys always love when he comes by, so please do give him lots and lots of love. And in fact, I just noticed that your Twitter handle is not above your face, which we normally like to have, and it's Centauric on Twitter. How do you spell that so people can go look you up right now?
It is like a centaur with an IK at the end. So.
It's like Centaur, I know. IK.
Yes.
I know, right?
Okay, got
Centaur,
it.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
So smart.
That's a good way to do it,
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, though, if people haven't seen you on the show before.
Right. So I am one of the hero designers on the team. And so my job basically is mostly comprised of creating new heroes for the game, bringing them from birth to ship. We are mostly focused on the gameplay side of the hero. So what are the abilities? What are the powers? How do they work? How do they interact? Our focus is not on like the tuning, exactly how strong should Nova Snipe hits. That's not our focus. Our focus is just that snipe happens really quickly and it will hit the first target in its path. And like, that's really the key things to it. So that's kind of what our job is. You know, we really want to evoke the fantasy of a hero. We want you, when you play that hero, we want you to feel like that hero. Like, so like when you play the Butcher, that you feel like the Butcher from Diablo 1, right? When you play Leoric, that you feel like you're the Skeleton King and you never really die because he doesn't ever. We keep bringing him back to life in lore for whatever, right? You know, we want to capture that fantasy, but we also really want to push the mechanics of the character. We want all of our characters to be something that you can play for 1,000 and 10,000 games and feel like you're getting better and better at that character. So we try to marry those two goals together to create fun abilities that capture the fantasy, but still let you grow into them over time.
And we actually, I mean, as you Heroes fans know, there is so much going on in Heroes of the Storm right now. Mm-hmm. There are some weeks where we're scraping the barrel for topics, but this week we had way too many topics. So what we've done this week is we prioritized topics. We're going to especially talk about the 2 new heroes who have been released. That's going to be our first priority. We're going to completely delete the play session tonight because we don't have time. We want to spend time talking to Kent-Erik instead. There's no play session. And we're going to spend the whole time with community discussion, or excuse me, game discussion, and not going to have community discussion. Normally we would have a little bit of all of those. We have segments that talk about the community and strategy of playing the game and the play session and cool things that people have made. We're just going to stick only to game discussion tonight while we have Kent-Erik here. So this will be a little bit different format to the show, but I know you guys really like it when we do that, so I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and we want to start off right away. We are going to get into the new heroes very soon and pick Kent-Erik's brain about them and learn a little bit more about them. But for now, we did want to start with the balance patch that was released and get some insight into that, as there were some changes that came into the heroes and kind of what Blizzard's thought was the process behind this patch.
Right. So, for those of you not to know, we just released a quick balance patch. I believe it was yesterday. It was on Wednesday. Yeah, because Monday was a holiday. What we're trying to do as a team is try to be a little bit more quicker and a little bit more agile in responding with quick balance patches. Before we were bundling all of our balance changes with every new hero release, basically, and we're realizing like, hey, that's not what Heroes of the Storm needs. Heroes of the Storm needs much more active management. Can we make the game feel a lot more alive and a lot more interactive with small number tweaks, such as upping some damages and lowering some damages, upping some health and base damages with quick patches in the interim. We have to be very careful because we have a live ops team that's dedicated to helping us push things out, and we stress them a bunch when we say, hey, can we ship out another patch? And they're like, oh my gosh, you know how many other things we're trying to do? So it's like, okay, well, what can we get in there? What can we sneak in, to help out the players? And they're trying to help us out with that. And so, this patch was really kind of like the first of us testing the water to be like, hey, what can we get out there quickly? We're quickly identifying another one relatively soon. I can't say when because dates might change in case things don't work out. But we're trying to continue to keep this pace of like, can we just hit some things that we know for sure are easy wins? Like, hey, if we, like in the last patch, is like, we know if we lower Rainer's health by 5%, that will lower his win rate some. Like, we don't want to remove Rainer from the game. Like, he's a hero and people like him. Like, we don't want to remove your toy, but we do want to make your toy more fair for all the other toys. And so, like, we were like, okay, well, if we lower his health by 5%, that it has some interesting effects on just for how easy he is to burst down, and also how his E works and whatnot. So we think it'll lower his win rate, but not take him out of the game. And so, we're doing that, and now we can wait and see, and we can react to see if like that was enough or not enough. Similar with the Toronto one, although the Toronto one was much more across the board, just small nerfs here and there, because we kind of like how she plays as a whole as a kit. We're having discussions, about her healing capabilities, with utility, and just we're in general having discussions about vulnerability. But can we hit a bunch of small stuff and like let's see how much that moves Toronto down, because like we like Toronto. She's actually really fun to watch at a competitive level. Seeing if people can land those stuns, and those owls, like those are really cool abilities. We like that stuff. And so and then some of it is also just stuff that's like, well, we know Brightwing's low. We don't really want to mess too much with her kit as a whole, because there can be some degenerative stuff if things get too out of proportion. But the Q, like we've always gotten feedback that the Q on Brightwing is really weird. Like, can we buff it somehow without like blowing her out of the waters? And that's why we were like, oh, we could probably up the inner ring damage a bunch and just cannibalize that level 1 talent that no one's really taking anyways. And so we're kind of testing the waters. We're looking to see what community reaction is, especially like once the patch has been out over the weekend. We'll get a lot more data from all the games that people are playing, and we're going to look to see like, hey, how does this methodology work? Like, do we want to keep doing lots of rapid stuff? Do we eventually slow down because the game gets to a much healthier spot? Do we keep going at this pace? Or is everyone like, oh my gosh, please slow down, I'm still trying to understand last week's patch? Like, okay, then we'll slow down. Like, finding what that right patch is in between all the heroes cadences that we're still trying to hit. So it's something new we're trying. We're really excited to see what you guys, the community, think about it. And we are really want to hear from you guys. Like, hey, do you like this kind of stuff? I think right now everyone seemed to be really positive about the first one, which totally makes sense given that we had a holiday break and there was nothing for a long time. But after like 3 or 4 of these, like, okay, guys, take it easy. Like, I'm trying to adapt to the game, and you keep changing. Like, okay, then we'll slow down, right? So we're looking to have a back and forth conversation with the community about how this kind of works.
That's great.
With this patch, are there any heroes that you're hoping we'll see more play, just straight up from that? Or
yeah, actually every support not named Tyrande, we like, it's really a problem. She's so good at kind of masks all the other supports, and so like she's just holding their win rates down. And so like we knew we would never do this, but like if you remove Tyrande from a game, all of their win rates would just rise dramatically, right? And we don't want to remove Tyrande, we want to bring her down. But we know if we bring her down, that gives them a better chance to win. And so they'll see higher play rates, they'll see higher win rates. Maybe we're not always picking Tyrande every game like we're seeing, in the weeks before this patch here. And so it was really more about bringing down those top performers, because they're just too dominant, and it was just overshadowing all the other choices. And that, like, it was just stuff that we kind of like, well, it's pretty safe to buff Stitch's attack damage. It's really low. It's not that bad. Like, we can buff it, and that's relatively safe. And maybe it just moves him up a 1 or 2 percentage points, and which is great, gets him closer to 50, right? Without blowing the character's balance out of proportion. And so we're trying to see like little nudges here and there to see if that helps.
We really,
Stitches.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you write that developers note?
I wish I was that smart. No. That totally had to be one of our balance designers. There's 4 of them, so I don't know which one was. I'm trying to think who would have been. Probably Cooper. It sounds like something he would do.
It was a very satisfying end to the article. I was reading through. And
Stitches agrees.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Totally.
I laughed myself because I had never seen that comment, right? Like, I saw that when everyone else saw that.
There are a lot of like comments in those patch notes that will crack me up. Like, there was this one that I don't know why it wasn't even written in a way that would make you laugh, but it was like, somebody will quit telling Leoric to go to the well when he's dead.
Oh, yeah.
Made me. I was laughing so hard. I was like,
man.
they probably didn't even mean it, but it's like the way stuff gets written in those patch notes really cracks me up. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we do try to have fun with it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're making a video game, right? We're making entertainment. So like, we want to have fun with it. So.
Did you have any other questions about the patch, Anna, before we...
I don't think so. I'm just super excited to talk about the new heroes, and I know that,
Yes.
actually,
I'm
Kent-Erik
really excited.
told us the story right before we started.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you guys watch Misscliks a lot, I believe about 6 months ago, I was on the show along with John DeShazer, one of our battleground designers, to talk about Lieutenant Morales, I think, and something else. I can't remember what we talked about. But on that show, I think I mentioned like, oh yeah, there's a hero we just wrapped up on the design side, and this was in July of 2015. And I was like, I love this hero, new favorite hero. I'm gonna, as soon as this hero comes out, I'm buying it with money or 15K gold or whatever, and I'm just playing it until level 10, like just nonstop. That hero was Li-Ming. And so I have been so waiting for like, all right, when Li-Ming comes out, like what weekend is that? Because I am clear my schedule once we lock down when she comes out, because I'm like, I just need to play Li-Ming all day, every day. I'm so excited to play her.
What was it? I mean, we'll get into the details, but
Yeah.
on a general scale, what was it that made you so excited about her in particular?
Oh my gosh. She's it's actually really hard to play her. The magic missiles have a really funky aiming mechanism to them. They also have a lot of acceleration on them. So actually the missiles start kind of slow and then accelerate rapidly. And so there's a lot of like nuance in that. Arcane Orb, the orb starts small and then grows in size as it travels, also growing in damage as well. And so there's a lot of nuance about where you want to fire that orb. You don't want it to hit that minion in the front, so you're actually flanking guys a lot. And then also just like the trait being a cooldown reset on everything, including your heroics. Like, we decided to swing for the fences when we started with the trait. Like I was like, I want to do a CD reset mage because they're so much fun. You just get to chain things if you do it right. But I wanted to make sure everything was a really hard to land skill shot, so that it was she played more fairly across the MMRs, so that the people who are really good at landing skill shots and get the resets, they're also against people who are really good at stopping that from happening. But at the lower skill brackets where the resets are more likely to happen, well, she's missing, so it's okay because she's not actually hitting all her spells and she's not getting much out of it. That was the hope. We'll see how that plays out. But like it's just so much fun to do that. And then we with Li-Ming, I'm really excited for her talent tree to go live. It's the tree I'm the most excited about in a long time because while working on her, I realized there's like 3 core builds that we could support with the hero. And
Cool.
I intentionally built the tree to be like, hey, there's 3 builds. You'll find them right away. Like if you can put 1 and 2 together, you'll see what the builds are and you'll kind of gravitate towards them. And I'm excited to see. I think they work, but the community always shows us how talents really work, because that system is just really hard for us to nail down and get right. But I'm really excited to see like what happens, because there's a teleport. We call it the Calamity build, because there's a talent where your teleport does damage. It's
Calamity.
Like the D3 rune for teleport, which does damage as well. And that one's all about going all in, and that one's like my personal favorite, because you get that, and then there's a diamond skin talent at level 16 where your teleport gives you a shield, so you can dive in and be really all in with it. That one's really fun, very high risk, and we try to make it high risk, high reward, versus like say the magic missile build, which is more of a low risk, lower reward, where you're just buffing your magic missiles both at 7 and 16 as well. And then there's the long range artillery mage arcane orb build. It's all about just buffing your arcane orb, and the builds play so differently from each other, but they're all really fun. I mean, I personally love Calamity myself, but like they're all really fun, and just like all that feeling of exhilaration when you land that kill and you get to like do everything again. It's just, it's so amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She looks awesome.
Right.
Oh, your mic is muted. Sorry.
I'm trying really hard to save all of you from hearing my washing machine, so I'm sorry. Maybe we'll just, I don't know. I have a tendency to do that. Anyways, as I was saying, we do want to talk about her kit a little more in depth, and in fact, you've already covered quite a bit of it. So
sorry.
That's great. It's great. But specifically, we know that you talk a lot about the fantasy of a hero and making a player really, really feel like they are that hero. So take us there with Li-Ming, because JC and I have both been really like enthralled by the way she looks and feels so far.
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I can start the story. So we were trying to figure out what heroes to do next for that pipeline in the slot. And this was like a year ago or so. And I was like, wizard. I really want to do wizard. And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, no. I really want to do wizard. Wizard's like my favorite class in D3. I've been wanting this hero in the game for like 2 or 3 years. I love mages in games like these. They're like my favorite, like Jaina and KL are 2 of my favorite characters. I was just like, there's so much design space with mages that we haven't explored with Heroes of the Storm. And so I'm so excited to do lots of different types of mages. And so they're like, all right, fine, we're gonna do wizard. I'm like, yes, let's do a wizard. I'm so excited. And so I immediately like fired off an email with like, all right, there's 6 different wizards we could do. Here you go. And which one should we pursue? Which one are you guys excited about? Here's the one I'm the most excited about.
Different ones, do you mean like different skill
ideas?
Yeah,
completely different wizards. And so like the first one was this one, the critical mass wizard. I'm like, hey, we do a reset mage. It's all about critical mass trait, and it's all about resets. And we give her skill shot after skill shot after skill shot. We make her super hard to master. Like everything is a hard to hit skill shot, but there's so much, potential for growth as you play the game. And then I'm trying to remember the other ones off the top of my head. I think some had to do with like, oh, she doesn't have mana, she has arcane power, so it's all about bursts of a spell cast, and everything's still cooldown, so it's about managing your arcane power. Another one was more of a setup mage, whereas you had you're using hydras and meteors and stuff like that. We talked about the other thing. We felt like some of them stepped on some of our other heroes, and they all sounded like they would be perfectly fine heroes to do, and we could have done them, and we'd be very proud of them. But we were really excited about like doing a reset mage. We're like, it just is so explosive. It sounds the most fun. It's just like when you go out and you tell someone, hey, we're bringing the wizard. And like, oh, cool. What is she? She's like, oh, when you get a kill, all of your cooldowns reset, including your heroics. You just go, what? We wanted that. So like, this was actually much more of a mechanics than fantasy hit. Like we're like, no, I want that mechanic of like, I can just get to kill people over and over again, right in a row. And so from there, it's about finding, what skills from D3 could we translate over that would be both fresh for our game, but also allow us to hit these mechanical goals of like, hey, hard to land skill shots. How could we do that best? Because we look at some of the skills like Meteor. Meteor's beloved, and I love Meteor as a hardcore wizard player myself in Diablo 3. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it plays a lot like Flame Strike or Blizzard. Delayed circle AoE. It's like, okay, well, can you not delayed circle AoE on a mage for once? We did it on our 2. Can we do something different? And so, that's why we went with Disintegrate and Wave of Force for the heroics. And I know I'm gonna just get out there right now because I know a lot of people are like, why is it Wave of Force? There's so many cooler, flashier spells, and it's like, yeah, there are. In fact, we tried to get Black Hole to work. We couldn't. we couldn't give her AoE CC on a reset. Like it's too devastating.
Oh, and that makes sense.
What we loved about Wave of Force is that Wave of Force allows for some crazy playmakings because you're displacing enemies and because it can reset and it brings some burst damage. It allows for a lot of interesting nuanced play. So I'm actually really excited to see what pros do with Wave of Force because they're going to do things that we've never dreamed of, right? Especially with the resets. And so that's why we went with like Wave of Force. The big thing to know is that unlike the Wave of Force in D3, which is centered on the wizard, our Wave of Force is projected out. She summons a mirror image at that spot that casts the Wave of Force. So for those who are curious how that works. So it's
she summons a mirror image, you said?
Yeah, it's almost if you think about it, it's almost it's a little like a Tychus grenade, but there's no travel time on a missile. Just a mirror image appears and does Wave of Force from that spot. So so you have a lot of control over how you displace people.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. So I'm curious, if you brought this as this is the type of hero we want to have, then how did her personality develop? How did you decide to make her who she is?
Right. So one of the things, as a hardcore, wizard player myself in Diablo 3, one of the things I loved about the wizard and like I fell in love with her was just how arrogant she is. Oh my gosh, she's just like, I'm amazing. Oh, I can't get enough of myself. And I'm like, I can't get enough of you either. Like, it was just like, oh, this character, she's so ridiculous. I love her. Like, I would probably hate her in real life, but I love her as a character, right? Mm-hmm. She's like that obnoxious, person. You're just like, I don't want to be around this person because they're just, oh my gosh. She's but like as a character, we love those characters, right? Because we can
totally
with them and feel better about ourselves because we're not that bad, hopefully. And so we were like, hey, we have a chance to like, we do a lot of personalities across the board, right? We really love to push the boundaries where we can. And we felt like with Li-Ming, like, we haven't really done somebody who's like almost playful in how prideful they are, right? We capture that essence from Diablo 3, which I think I'm trying to remember her name, the voice actress, and I'm sure one of you guys knows.
Was it Grey Delisle? Because we have a bunch of people.
It's the same from Diablo 3. It's the and I think she's Nova as well.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Nova's another like kind of arrogant one.
Yeah. It's we want to take Nova's level and just crank it up, right? And so that's really what we got. And so in fact, we tried to, I can't remember if this got in or not, so don't quote me on this. I'm sorry. But we were trying to, I know during the design, to like, usually when you get like a double kill or triple kill, I think the map announcer says that. We wanted Li-Ming to say it instead.
Oh, cool.
When you play Li-Ming, you hear her say, "I'm so good." Oh, double, triple. She says all the lines herself because she's so in love with herself. Like, I'm so good. I killed them all. Like we really wanted to reinforce her arrogance as much as possible. So I know we tried it. I honestly can't remember if it shipped or not. Like, because we were already on to the next heroes by the time we moved on, and so we'll find out really soon if that shipped.
That is hilarious.
But we really wanted to, and so the art team had fun. Like, I think one of her idle animations, she's holding her little ball, right, and she's like, touching up her hair, and she's just like, using her wand as like a microphone to sing and dance.
Gosh,
she's very and she mounts up. She's sitting on the mount, but her legs are crossed, like up on top of the mountain. She's just like, just very very haughty, and it's just awesome. So,
dude, it's so funny. I never had identified that, but I do love playing characters that are like arrogant like that.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Like, I think that's why I love Diva and Overwatch so much.
Oh
she's
yeah,
just like, of course I'm the best. Like, yeah. So I'm really excited to hear more about her personality. That's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, no, her voice is really good. So,
in looking at like her in regards to other heroes that we have currently in the game, can you think of any off the top of your head that she might synergize well with, or even she'll counter, or that will counter her as well?
She'll work really well with like a Malfurion who can keep her mana up. That's the biggest thing. That is the tuning knob we identified to help keep Li-Ming in check with her cooldown resetting, because we didn't want just one kill to always lead to 5 kills, because that's not healthy. And so her heroics really eat through her mana. Her arcane orb can eat through her mana. We have a few mana talents at level 1, but they're not the greatest. And so she'll always, like, being a good Li-Ming will be about really good mana management and not wasting casts of magic missiles and arcane orb unless you need them. And so someone who can fix that problem for her, like Malfurion, will be really good. She's also like people who can wear down opponents, because honestly, with her, it's all about getting that first kill in a team fight.
Okay.
So other burst characters are pretty good, because if they can get someone low, and especially if they have some AoE on them, because if you can get one hero to like 25% and another to 60, that's a double kill, maybe a triple for Li-Ming, because she'll get the kill on the first, she'll reset, she'll probably get the kill on the second, and then chain it to maybe more kills. But she's really good at just enabling those multiple kills. I can't say I have enough expertise with the character yet to know who is the best synergy with it. I wish I actually asked the balance guys, like, hey, can I just like play her nonstop in January during our playtest? No, I can't I? Because I have to playtest our new stuff. Dang it. I've been jonesing so bad to just play a bunch of Li-Ming. So I'm gonna be with you guys and trying to figure out what's the best comps for her. So
well, those are great suggestions. I mean, knowing that we need to think about her mana is huge.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really excited for that, because I think that that's one of the things that I as a player am pretty good at is mana management. Mana management. Like, when everyone is complaining about Morales and the mana, I was like, what's the deal? I don't get it. So maybe this is going to be a hero for me, and I'm really pumped because I also really love Assassin.
She's like seriously my most fun hero. She's my favorite. Like, I made Cho'Gall and I was like, Cho'Gall's my favorite hero. Then I did Greymane. I'm like, well, Greymane, you're great, but you don't replace Cho'Gall, right? And then I did Li-Ming. I'm like, oh, okay, you did. And then I made some more. Nothing. It's still like Li-Ming is just so amazing.
She holds your heart.
She
Cho'Gall is pretty fun.
I mean, the ones I've done after her are also really fun, and I love those heroes, and I will probably play them to 10 as well, but not in the way I will Li-Ming. Like, and what's been really encouraging is like a lot of the other designers that come to me like, dude, she's so much fun. I'm buying her day 1 and I'm just gonna spam her to 10. I'm like, yeah, me too, buddy. Like, we're all just really excited just to go blow people up with Li-Ming, and also just fail fall flat on our faces when we fail and like, oh shoot, I missed a disintegrate, right?
Speaking of disintegrate, we had a question about that.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of questions about disintegrate.
Yeah, there's actually far more questions about Xul, which we're going to talk about next, guys. But this one is from Twitter, Fairy Van de Pol, at Dark Omicron. Does Li-Ming's disintegrate heroic act differently than Diablo's fire breath heroic, and how?
Completely different. It's super different. So Li-Ming's only lasts for 2.5 seconds. I think that's the number we landed on. It's really short. It's also super snappy. So with lightning breath, if you like aim the other side, Diablo's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. Li-Ming's like, got it. And so the laser's moving all over the place. We tick damaged even faster on Li-Ming's. Also, can I spoil the floating combat stuff? Siobhan says yes. We have new floating combat tech coming in, specifically because of Li-Ming. She really forced the issue with her magic missiles. With simultaneous hits, you couldn't see the numbers together. So with disintegrate, you just get this beautiful stream of numbers because we're literally doing damage like every tick. It's just this fountain of purple spell numbers.
Ooh, I'm getting excited.
Your target, but it's super sensitive to your mouse. What's actually been really funny is in a lot of our playtests, Li-Ming will go into disintegrate mode. Oh, and lightning breath is relatively wide and not super long. Li-Ming's is like I think it's about twice as long as lightning breath, but it's super thin. It is really thin. Like you can thread needles
more like a laser.
Not hit people. Yes, it's like a laser. It's hyper responsive, but it's hyper thin, but it's very long. But what's funny is that a lot of times is like people, Li-Mings will be disintegrating. We jump on them and the Li-Ming wants to run away. And so they want to teleport away. And so you could tell that's what they're trying to do because the laser will spin the other way while they're trying to use the teleport. Like you can tell they're moving their mouse because you see the laser move. And it's like, oh, they're trying to run away. So it's actually a really funny component. Like, so you don't see that with like Diablo or, you definitely don't see like Gaul's Shadow Volley or Gazlo's turret. You don't see them like try to, I'm getting out of here. It's this really funny moment with Li-Ming. It's like, oh, that Li-Ming's trying to get out of there because the laser moves. So it's a pretty interesting. It plays. I know when I initially pitched Disintegrate, there's a lot of concerns like, isn't this just lightning breath? Isn't this just lightning breath? I'm like, no, it's not. And the numbers, it's funny now. Just the simple tuning of like the length and width and the responsiveness, it plays super differently. Plus with the fact that if you rack up a kill with it, you get to use it again.
Pew, pew.
Yes. And I believe I was reviewing like the spotlight video that we have for her coming up, and they did some great shots showing just how like responsive Disintegrate is, which Lightning Breath, while amazing, isn't. Also, you're not unstoppable during Disintegrate. Lightning Breath you are, but that's a minor thing because you should not be in the middle of people when you use Disintegrate.
That's true.
Actually, I will also call it one other fun thing we did is that we put in so I'm a hardcore D3 player myself. So every talent I tried to name after a rune or item from or passive from D3. So we have Diamond Skin, we have Calamity, we have Arcane Orbit. We have Aether Walker at level 1. If you're out of combat, your teleport is free to pay a nod to the Aether Walker item. But at level 20, we have Archon mode. For Li-Ming, it's actually not an upgrade to Disintegrate. It's just a separate button that no matter what heroic you go, you can get Archon. And we had some really fun with this one. And we've been really trying to push the level 20s where we can. I don't think Greymans were the super sexiest. He was actually really hard to do 20s for. So my apologies on that one. That one's on me. But Li-Ming, we have Tal Rash's Elements, which is if you cycle abilities, you get bonus ability power. And then Archon mode lets you permanently enter Archon mode. And when you press 1, you go into Archon mode. You lose all of your other buttons because that's how Archon works in Diablo, right? But you get a Disintegrate that can last forever, and you can toggle on and off. And then you can press 1 to exit Archon mode, and you get all your abilities back, but you go back to normal Disintegrate. And so it's really funny. Like, I'm crazy. I'm just going in permanent Disintegrate mode, but I don't have teleport. I don't have any of my other spells. And if I want to get out, there's like an exit time to Archon mode to go back to normal. And so you're really vulnerable. So it's so I'm really looking forward to lots of videos and playing against lots of Li-Mings who are going to be, super crazy with their Archon mode. I think they're awesome. I'm like, no, I'm going to blow you up with my Tall Rockets because it's just easier.
That reminds me of when I was a little kid and I'd do the if I hit you, it's not my fault, and wave around and stuff. That's what I feel like. I'm getting really excited about this one.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm really excited for her. I hope the fans love her. I really hope you guys love the talents. like I said, I try to sneak so many D3 references in those names. So
I think people are gonna be really happy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Diablo fans.
Yeah, they'll love it.
We kind of did touch on every single bit of her kit, but just to kind of
Yeah.
have it all in one place for you guys who are
Yeah.
watching really quick, we do have the trait is that critical mass, which means if you participate in a takedown, it refreshes all your ability cooldowns. Then we've got magic missiles on Q, which is that skill shot, arcane orb on W, teleport on E, disintegrate, which is what we were just talking about, on R, and wave of force also on R. Those are their heroics. So knowing all that, I wanted to ask you kind of our typical question of what type of players will like to play Li-Ming, and I'm asking that with the context of seeing a lot of news coming out about her saying that part of what we wanted from her was to kind of raise the skill ceiling and give a hero that was a little harder to play. So am I correct in assuming that like people who have played a little bit of heroes will probably like this one?
So Li-Ming is a fan to players. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Li-Ming is a love letter to players like Chu8, Fan. Man, I'm awful. I'm suddenly forgetting all of our pro gamer names.
That's what happens when you're on a
help me
show.
out.
All the names.
I forgot everything.
Yeah.
All of our like pro gamers, Grubby, our hardcore streamers. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. She's a love letter to those players who want to do really flashy plays for their audience, right? Like what did I just see recently? It was like Chu8 had like the one where he bolted forward as nobody get the snipe right at the kill, right? And that was like a really awesome play. Like we want to make more playmaking opportunities in heroes, and so Li-Ming is like the first of many more heroes coming that we're trying to like do some really fancy nuanced stuff where it's like, no, you can really strut your stuff here. So that's really like, that's my target audience for her. I think anybody can have fun with her though. Like we did make her so that anybody can play her and like feel mildly effective. It just really want to unlock her potential. Like you need to be on your stuff, right? Like your arcane orbs need to be perfect. Your magic missiles need to be perfect. Your timing about when to blink forward, when to save your mana, when to disintegrate, all that stuff, or wave of force. So we try to leave a lot of growth in there, but I think anybody can pick her up and have fun. If you like playing mage characters, if you don't mind being very fragile, glass cannon. In fact, if you really don't mind it, we made a glass cannon talent for you where you get more ability power, but your maximum health is lower.
I am not allowed to take that talent.
No.
We finally did it.
Keep me accountable.
We finally did it, boys. Here you go. It's I think it's like 15% ability power, but you lose 15% max health. It's super cheap. You want it.
I want to take it. I want to.
So it's like the biggest trap talent for some people. You're like, Kent, I hate you because I get to that tier. I'm like, well, I want glass cannon, but I'm taking it, and then they just die repeatedly, and I'm like,
but it'll give me so much damage. Yeah.
Right? It's so much fun. Just like really figuring it out. And so I think she's definitely, if you love mages, like she's also my love letter to mages because they're my favorite archetype, and just from my youthful days playing Final Fantasy 1 as a kid, and I love the Black Wizard, so that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Before we move on to Xul, we had one more question. Not sure if you can answer this because it sounds like it's talent related, but it's from Stormwind Boy, who says his favorite disintegrate talent from D3 was Chaos Nexus. Is it something that was considered, or does she have it? Is it something you can talk about?
I think Chaos Nexus, that's the one where she does like PB AoE around her while she's disintegrating.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. My apologies. Someone is going to tell me in chat whether or not. Sorry. No, I can't tell you that the disintegrate level 20 is just that the disintegrate slows enemies hit by 60%, which is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so mean. It's always like I get the 20, I'm like, oh, do I want Archon? I mean, it's so much fun. Or should I just take Tall Rashas? Oh, but disintegrate slowing people means we're gonna get a lot of kills. Like so that's what disintegrate 20 is. It's not Chaos Nexus. My apologies, Mr. Stormwind Boy. That we didn't get you your Chaos Nexus.
He said that you were right. You were correct in your.
Oh, it is the AoE one? Okay, yeah. I mean, Wave of Force is already doing your PB AoE. We felt like her kit already had that, and plus Teleport with Calamity. We didn't need another PB AoE on her, and so we wanted to go with something different mechanically. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we should give some time to Xul, and you said that people are really excited about him. And actually, it's looking like we may have to just leave poor Greymane behind. We'll see. But poor Greymane is getting overshadowed. We'll give him a little bit of a shout out.
Well,
at the end.
he should be having his love right now in the sun. You know, he got released, and then we nerfed Toronto the next week. Like, Lunara wishes she got this treatment. Like, nerfed Toronto the week after I come out, right? Poor Lunara. Actually, we have some cool. I think we did announce that we're fixing the stutter step on Lunara, right?
I love how when Kent-Erik asks, like, I can say this right. He says it. So I'm always like, haha, exclusive for Sword Show.
I read it this morning in the patch notes that, hey, we're buffing Lunara. We still have more fixes for her coming, and we do. I'm sorry, Siobhan, but I'm saying it because I did it myself. I looked at her weapon data. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did we do this? This should be this, this, and this. Like, oh look, she's smoother. All right, I'm sorry, guys. So we'll get that out to you guys.
Well, for Siobhan's sake, we will talk about Xul now.
Yes, let's talk about Xul.
And clearing it up once and for all, is it Xul as if with a Z? Is it Xul as if with like a TS? Is it Xul with an X?
Well, it's not Kazul. He's not a kazoo. Right? And I always say Xul. I mean, but then again, I can't say the sound very well.
You just did it.
Not very well.
So Xul it is for the remainder of the show. And let's before we even get into any of the talking about the lore and where he comes from and stuff, which I think is going to be really interesting with him. But first, let's do a quick overview of his kit. Do you mind?
Oh yeah, I should probably do that like I should have done for Wizard. I just launched.
Yeah, no worries. We didn't ask you.
So his trait is raise skeletons. When nearby minions die, a skeleton will pop up and march down the lane. And he can have up to 4 out at a time. His Q. And they just mindlessly push, but man, they soak up a bunch of ammo. They'll really push the lane. Like, he's a really strong pusher. You cannot leave Xul alone in a lane. Like, he'll just quickly.
Ooh, I like that.
He puts Sylvanas to shame sometimes.
Ooh.
His Q is Spectral Scythe. He basically this circle appears where he targets it, and it actually has It has a custom targeting reticle. It shows like a circle and 2 arrows pointing back to you. Basically, this telegraph circle appears and a spectral scythe summons in, and then it basically slowly comes back to you, and just damages enemies on its way. So it's like a reverse skill shot.
Nice.
On that, we had a bunch of questions on it. Sorry, I'm gonna break it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does it hit automatically, or does it take a bit for it to come up?
There's like a second delay, and then it will start hitting things in a circle as it runs back to you. And then if you move, it's gonna curve.
Okay, so it's like Falstad's hammering the back part.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay, cool.
Very similar to that, but it's much larger AoE than Falstad's because it's a pretty generous circle.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So sorry, please continue.
Oh no, it's a super fun ability. Those of you who are wondering why we didn't go with other D2 stuff, like Spectral Scythe is really fun, and that's why we went for it. So W is Bone Prison. Wait, I think no.
Cursed Strikes.
Cursed Strikes. So he empowers his scythe and he attacks in this huge cone in front of him. The cone is actually a similar size to like Leoric's Q. I think it's slightly bigger, but it's just his auto attacks. His auto attacks are now hitting this huge cleaving AoE, and everyone he hits gets a big attack speed slow on them. I think it's 40%. And then the E is great also for clearing waves to get more skeletons quickly. Like I said, he's really good at pushing. And then the E is Bone Prison, where you target an enemy. I think you have to target an enemy hero. I think we restricted it to heroes, so you don't misclick it. There we go. Hey, I'll admit I'm the reason that Tyrael's judgment changed the hero only because I hit a minion one day. I'm like, what the crap? Why can't I target minions with this? Like, I know I should just get better at the game, but we can also just fix this. So that one was me. So yeah, Bone Prison, target enemy hero, and then I think it's like 2 seconds, 2.5 or 3. I don't know the exact timing.
2 seconds. So after 1 second delay, Bone Prison erupts, and then roots them for 2 seconds.
Yeah, it roots them for 2 seconds. That one, it's for those of you curious, the cast range is melee range, so Xul has to be right on 20. It is point and click root, which is pretty mean. But you have to be in melee range, and he doesn't really have a way to close that gap anyways. And then you have a second to know, like, oh, I'm about to be rooted. If I have Vault or Blink or some mobility spell, I should use it now if I don't want to be going toe-to-toe with Necro. Xul, sorry. And then before I get to the heroics, he does start with Bone Shield at level 1. And it's on his 1 key. He starts with a bone shield, and at level 1, you get 3 talents that augment your bone shield. Like one gives you evasion, one slows nearby enemy heroes, and the other gives explodes for damage around you when the shield expires.
Cool.
And so you have 3 ways to augment your bone shield at level 1. So he starts with a fifth ability.
Wow.
And then his 2 heroics are Poison Nova, where he unleashes this massive, Poison Nova. I don't know how to say it. Basically, like 20 missiles of poison, emanate out from him, and they, as they trajectory out, there's actually gaps in there. So if you're far away from him, you can totally do like the Hegan dance and dodge the Poison Nova. But if you're nearby, like you're getting poisoned. It doesn't matter if you get hit by multiples or one; it's the same thing. It's a mega dot, though. It is mean. Oh my gosh! Like it's just chunks kids. Like it's just like boom. Like there goes 40% of your health over the next.
Whoa.
I think it's like 10 seconds or 5. I can't remember. It's a pretty long dot. And then the R2 is Skeletal Mages. I want you to think like Tassadar Force Wall, except instead of summoning Force Walls, it summons these towering mages who attack things near them.
Cool.
I can't remember if they slow or not. We went back and forth on that.
This says that it does.
Okay, so
The
they do
info that
slow.
we have.
We went, like
Yes.
I said, we went back and forth on that one like 4 times, and I couldn't even remember now. Do they slow anymore? Yeah, they do. They can be attacked and they can be killed. They're regular summons. They don't move, and then they just they slow and they attack things near them. So it's a pretty devastating area denial spell. But that's his kit. Oh, and of course we included a lot of fun D2 spells in the talents where we could. So at level 20, you can get Bone Spear and chuck a Bone Spear down the line and hurt everyone. And we have like Corpse Explosion for when your skeletons blow up, they explode gloriously in battle, and a variety of other stuff that I'll leave for you guys to discover.
Well, we saw in the interview with Dustin, he talked a lot about the skeletons and what a kind of arduous task the skeletons were. So tell us a little bit about the fantasy and the lore on this guy.
So we all are like still suffering from Xul syndrome. He was a really hard hero to design. We are very sensitive to spam issues in our game. If you run like Azmodan Zagara, and then your Abathur and you clone Azmodan and you make more, or you clone Zagara and you make more, like there's health bars everywhere, right? And we're like, we do not need another Azmodan in the game. So we went back and forth a lot on the kit. Like we tried a bunch of variations to like get him summons that he could control, but we didn't want to do Rexar style controls. We didn't want to do Vikings. We wanted him to play a little bit more straightforward, but we wanted to hit all these fantasies that the D2 Necromancer has, and it was really hard because it's like there's a lot of builds for Necro. Like we can't support every single build with this Necro. We got to kind of pick one. And so we went through a lot of iterations. We went super overtime on what our budgeted time is for designing a hero. It really like stressed our pipelines a lot in terms of, we're trying to hit a certain release cadence with our heroes. And so we're still recovering from it. And he was certainly a doozy to design. And so I hope he was worth it. I hope you guys love it as much as we love him now, and really tap into like, that childhood nostalgia of playing that D2 Necro, right? That everyone has. And so we tried to be as faithful as we could where we could while still delivering on a hero that made sense for Heroes of the Storm, right? That that fits into our game in a good spot.
It sounds like you guys kind of started with the fantasy on this one.
Yeah, he was the exact
opposed to-
opposite
yeah.
of Li-Ming. Li-Ming, I knew exactly what I want to do mechanically, and everyone was on board, so I just chased that. Whereas Xul, we were like, well, the most powerful thing about the D2 Necromancer is that everyone remembers their D2 Necromancer. And like I remember I would frequently Google image search D2 Necromancer, and what's the first thing you see? Skeletons everywhere. And we're like, oh my gosh, like how many can we really get away with but still be true to the fantasy? Because it's like we can't have 80 skeletons running around in the game. Like performance will tank. Won't even be able to play the game. I can't tell what's happening anymore. I've lost all sense of clarity. The game's not fun anymore. But that guy's having a great time, right? It's like
It's new meta.
Man.
Just lag the game out with your skeletons.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't, so we're trying to strike this balance with like hit as much fantasy as we can, but still mechanically find a place for him. So that's why we kind of landed at this place of like, well, what if he was a debuffer? Like we really hit that curse fantasy, and so that's why we have the attack speed slow on the W, along with the root, where he's really kind of like an anti-melee assassin hero, with his attack speed slow. And so we wanted to find him a niche that could fit him, but still like, hit his fantasy. So he's kind of more of like a like a hodgepodge of a character where it's like, well, we want him to have skeletons, we want him to push, but we also want to make sure that he's not just Zagara 2 or Asmodan 2, but like he has a unique role that he can bring to the team that those two heroes don't. And so we wanted to chase the curse fantasy and see if we could hit something different mechanically there.
We have a lot of questions referencing some of the stuff that you've said, so I'm going to try to hit
Oh boy,
of them.
I'm curious how deep of a hole I dug myself in.
No, it's okay. Let's see, I really liked this one. It's from Aresk, and it says, melee specialists aren't very common. Gazlo, the Lost Vikings, Murky, Abathur, if you want to go there. What sorts of unique challenges did Xul present? You talked about how difficult he was. Was that one of the difficulties, is having him be melee?
I think we had him at range at one point in time. We went back and forth on that quite a bit, having him be ranged or having him be melee. Like, does he throw spectral daggers or does he, attack with a dagger? And then I can't remember if it was art or design. Somebody had the idea for the scythe, and we were like, yeah, that's cool. Like, if D2 Necromancer was being remade today, like in, a Diablo, universe, like it would, like a scythe would make sense for the hero, right? Like, because it's so iconic for the Reaper of Death, right? And so, that's kind of where we landed, and we were playing around with like weapon swapping between the dagger and the scythe or whatnot and seeing if we could do something cool there. But it was a lot of back and forth of just figuring out what the hero did and then realizing, well, okay, if we're going to push the kit this way, we should probably go to melee. Or if we're going to push this kit, we should probably go back to range. And so I think like we literally switched 3 or 4 times whether or not he's melee or range. That actually was kind of not one of our central pieces, but rather kind of came in as like as the other kit, as the needs of the kit dictated. Like, what ended up happening is that we found that Bone Prison was really awesome. We found Spectral Scythe was really awesome. We were having a hard time nailing down that third ability and finding a way to make the skeletons fit in an appropriate way for our game. And so that's why, based on what those things were doing, he changed from either melee or ranged. And ultimately we realized, the fun of the Q and of the Spectral Scythe and the Bone Prison was really in him being melee. So that kind of then led us to morph the W and the trait into what they were to really kind of support that melee and to bring in Bone Shield as all his level 1 talents so that he could be a little bit more tankier. He kind of plays a little bit like an off tank. You can, I don't think he can solo tank. Our community will prove me wrong really quickly. I think he can solo tank. You can try to. Actually, I think if you went like let's say Illidan Necro maybe, or Necro Thrall, you could probably get away with no warrior. Okay. Because between the two of them, you have enough of a front line that they're going to be scared to walk up to, right? I mean, he's got some pretty decent peel with his attack speed slow that he's going to apply, and with his Bone Prison, like those are not bad peeling mechanics. So he can play a little bit of an off tank. He definitely has that going for him, especially with if you spec your Bone Shield into the evasion talent, you can get a lot of survivability off of it.
You've just made our chat so happy. Let's see. There was another one I really liked. Asking about maybe his early game in comparison to Zagara's in terms of being able to push down lanes with the skeletons.
Yeah, he'll bully out Zagara. We finally did it. Yeah, Zagara, you think you're something with your roaches? Yeah, my Q just instantly kills your roaches, and my W just cleaves away the lane. Have fun. Yeah, he just shoves that lane. In terms of lane pusher, him and Leoric probably share that specialty. I think he's a little bit better because the problem with Leoric is that you have to Q and then you have to auto all the range to really push the lane well. And that takes a bit of time, whereas with Xul, you throw down your Q and then you hit your W, and when you attack the melee minion, you hit all of the minions with your attacks. And your attack speed's slowing them, so you're saving health on your own minions. So I think he is our foremost pusher. I mean, Sylvanas would give him a run for his money just because of her disabling. But depending on what she's spec'd out talent-wise, she may or may not outpush him. But Xul probably is starting at level 1, the meanest guy in lane. In terms of like, he's going to push the lane. He's not going to necessarily kill you unless you like walk up to him and he gets the Bone Prison you and he Qs you. Like, and yeah, he might murder you, but he's not going to seek you out. He's going to shove that lane hard, and he's going to send his full minion wave plus 4 skeletons to your towers, and you're going to be out of ammo before you know
him. 2 more questions that kind of go hand in hand, and then we can go into heroes that maybe synergize really well, and then I'll try to organize some more questions maybe before the end. But Rogue JT asked if you can say how big the slow is from his skeleton mages, and Ishtar is the best, wants to know if the mages can attack separate targets or if it's always the same target.
They attack whatever target's nearest them, I believe, is their priority. Don't quote me on that, please. I don't know the exact attack priorities. They might prefer heroes. I'm not sure. But they all attack something separate. They don't all focus fire the same thing. They're really spread out. So I'll make a picture Force Wall and picture it like 50% longer, and like there's 4 of them, and they cover that on a line. So there's space between them that you can maneuver. Guess how big the slow is? 25, 35%. I can't remember. It's in an aura around them, I believe.
Cool.
We again that ability went through a lot of iteration as well.
Yeah.
Poison Nova we loved right away. It was another reason why once that we got really locked down, we're like, he needs to be melee for Poison Nova. So actually no, I remember what we did. When he was ranged, we let you target Poison Nova at a distant location like we did with Wave of Force, but then we were like, it's just more fun if it's melee. So yeah.
I love anyone that has little pets. So skeletons are fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are those passively spawned?
Yeah.
As you, okay.
He just auto raises them, and he just auto raises them when minions die, and then they just march down the lane and kill minions and soak tower ammo and add a bunch of extra health to your lane.
So in terms of, and we asked this for Li-Ming as well, heroes that he might synergize with that you can think off the top of your head, as well as who he counters Zagara maybe?
He definitely stomps on Zagara's parade, Asmodan's parade with their hard pushing Sylvanas even, or Nazebo. As for and he's also pretty good in teams against, like, if they run double melee assassin like Thrall Butcher. Which I think one day it might make an appearance with Tirana getting nerfed. You might start to see some Bloodlust comps. That's just my prediction. I don't know though. Anyways, against those comps, he actually does quite well because he can just shut down their attacking. As for who he synergizes well with, I think he synergizes well with other melees and other assassins. He really is much like that off warrior. He's not going to necessarily kill everybody on his own, but he is going to set up for a lot of kills and protect your team. So.
Cool. And then along those same lines, any that you think are going to be really good counters for him, or any that he's going to be really good counters for?
Like I said, he'll be counters against those pushers. He'll be counters against those melee assassins. As for who's going to counter him, ranged characters do pretty decent against him. Just as long as they keep distance from him, which is not always the easiest in the fray of a team fight, and especially once that bone prison goes off. We put some really loud sound effects on that so everyone can know, hey, that guy's rooted. He's about to eat it, right? And so we tried to really amp that up. But if you can keep away from him, he actually with his bone, so he has like a bone shield talent that gives him evasion while the shield is up. So basically only spells can destroy the shield. He's really good against a Rainer that just used his Q. It's really bad against a Rainer who still has his Q. I think one Rainer Q will knock off the shield, but if he doesn't have his Q, Rainer can't do anything to him. He's like, oh, hey, I can't attack you because you just evade everything. It's kind of funny. So it's a really interesting binary relationship based on whether or not Rainer has either used his Q or misses it. It's pretty funny.
So it sounds like mobility is going to be the big challenge for Xul.
Yeah, that is his biggest challenge. So
kiting could be a concern for him.
Yeah, so Ethereal is a good ally with him, giving him the move speed buff. Brightwing's not bad with him either, keeping him up. And with all the mitigation that he gets from Bone Shield, Brightwing's also pretty good at just with her sustained pulse healing.
Brightwing.
Also, Brightwing loves his root with her new 5x damage on the middle of the Q. Right? Is it 5x? I don't remember the exact. It's an absurd amount of damage that her Q does, and so she loves that root that he plays. And so the speed boost that she can give with her block talent or block ability is pretty good for Xul to get him in as well. So there's also future heroes coming up that will synergize well with him, but I cannot talk about that.
Oh, secrets.
Announcement of an announcement.
Yes.
Okay, so what types of players, we've kind of covered this, but what types of players should really be excited about Xul? Is it those
anyone who played Diablo 2?
Okay.
Is that a sufficient answer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, is it kind of anyone who straddles that line of
if you really like I would say if you love split pushing and you like doing siege damage, I think you'll really like Xul. If you love Diablo 2, you'll love Xul. I'd also say if you don't mind playing off tank or tank for your team, I think Xul is also not bad as well. Again, I'm not sure on the validity of his solo tanking capabilities, But you guys will prove me right or wrong on that one once he gets released.
It's interesting because it might be like if we see him like on a more pro perspective, it could be we see a flex player playing him, which is not usually specialists get played by them. I mean, we saw iDream play Murky at BlizzCon, but really,
I mean, we're actually having talks about adding tooltips to those labels for warriors, assassins, supports, and specialists, because like, to us internally, specialist really means just like they don't fit the other categories. It's not necessarily like a siege role, and you'll see that coming up. Like we almost Cho and Gall were specialists for the longest time, and then at the end we were like, you know what? For the quest system, we can make a warrior assassin. That might be a little bit more interesting. And that kind of hints at what they do, but they were really specialists to us in our head because they're just so freaking weird.
Yeah,
like that's why Vikings and Murky are specialists, because like they just play weird. Like Leoric was. Well, he's really going to be a warrior, but he's kind of a specialist in our heads, at least. And so, like, we're talking about, tool tipping that to just be like, hey, specialist doesn't necessarily mean siege. It just means different. Like, we don't have a category for this guy. You'll need to figure out how you fit him on your team. So, good luck. He's a hero. So, yeah.
Well, we know we need to let you go here pretty soon. I wanted to ask one question about kind of this hero release in general, but JC, did you have anything else either from chat or from you on Xul?
There were a few questions about skins, and we had talked about this before, just the statement from you about when we might know about the skins coming for these heroes. And we would...
Soon, TM.
There you go, guys. There you go.
Blizzard soon.
Sorry.
A lot of people were commenting on the way that these heroes were released because it was a little bit different. A lot of times we get like the spotlight video right away or something like that, and this time we saw it kind of be released in interviews and more traditional industry press releases. Do you have any info on why that was done, or whether you thought it was cool or anything like that?
No, I don't. I don't know. That's really more Siobhan and her crew figuring out what they want to do with that. But I mean, we're trying stuff, so
yeah. Well, so let Blizzard know if you liked it, guys, because I was actually showing you, just to give credit, I was showing you articles from GameSpot and PC Gamer. That's where a lot of the visuals and stuff was coming from that I was showing you during our discussion. So thanks to those two for having articles out for us to use. Now we would like to wrap up with our community spotlight, and there's so much that is happening right now that our community spotlight is kind of like all the other stuff that we might have talked about if we had time. We're gonna leave Greymane for another episode, so sorry for you Greymane fans. But in the meantime, we had the Heroes of the Storm 2016 Spring Global Championship announced, and that is up on Battle.net, so you guys can go check that out. And there is, it's really exciting for us. A whole bunch of information, very, very complete information about what's going on. And as a note, listed on here is the Gold League going on for China, and guess who is casting Gold League?
So I had no clue about that when I agreed to casting Gold League. The minute that came out, I was like, if Gold League is the official qualifier, does that make me an official caster? I think yes.
Yeah, totally. So congratulations to Gilly. And as a note, that is usually on Gillyweed's channel, which is Gillyweed SC2, as you can see here on Twitch. And also shows up on Zoya's channel once in a while, which is Zoya TV, Zoia TV.
I think for the rest of it, it's going to be on Zoya's. If it is, it may be on mine tomorrow morning. But make sure that you guys are watching Zoya's tweets, because he's going to be the one who will be casting all of them from here on out. And the finals are this weekend. We're down to 4 teams. We're down to 4 very good teams. And tomorrow is going to be Team No Limit, which is Team DK from BlizzCon versus Edward Gaming. And it's a best of 5. It starts at 2:30 a.m. Pacific time. Yay me! Central time, waking up at 4 o'clock to get ready to cast. But it's gonna be awesome, guys, because this already Gold League has been really tremendous. It's sad that Cloud9 isn't in there, but man, there's some good teams in there.
And of course, since most of you watching are going to be North American or at least English speaking we would love to point out that the North American finals are going to be February 27th and 28th, so don't forget about that. And the global finals are, I believe, April 1 through 3, there we are, April 1 through 3. So keep those dates in mind, and I'm sure we'll do lots more coverage of those, but just a quick little spotlight for you. And wanted to give just one little shout out before we close out. Heroes of the Storm won Best Competitive Multiplayer and Best MOBA in Game Informer's Best of 2015 awards. So well done, team. And, awards are always really, really nice. And I was curious, and I don't know if you can even comment on this, Kent-Erik, but being called the best MOBA is not being called the best hero brawler. Is there any official Blizzard statement on that?
No comment.
I will take it.
I figure that's the safest thing that lets me keep my job.
GG's, we understand.
That's all of our spotlights for this week. And again, there's so much going on that keep tuning in, guys. We will bring you lots more info, and we will have a Greymane Hero Week as soon as we can figure one out. As a side note, along those lines, JC and I are going on vacation, and we will not be here next week. Together. We're going on a Star Wars Disney cruise, you guys. So we're super jazzed, and we're sorry we won't be here with you, but we will be having a little bit of fun. And sorry you can't come with us, Kent-Erik.
I'm sorry.
Your invitation got lost in the mail. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So just don't look for us next week, but I highly suggest that you check out episodes on YouTube and share this episode and all of that. It's youtube.com/Misscliks. And Kent-Erik, how can people express their genuine love and thanks to you, or where can they keep up with your adventures?
They can find me on Twitter at Centauric, Centaur IK, or you can find me on Twitch, occasionally streaming, very occasionally these days. Twitch. I don't know how to say it. Your Twitch username Centauric, Twitch TV/Centauric, I guess. Same name as well. Again, not streaming a whole lot, but hopefully doing some of that more. I'll definitely be streaming a lot when Li-Ming comes out, though. That's for sure. So you can find me on there. And so if you wish to reach out, that is your best bet.
And if people want to talk about these new heroes, give feedback, all that stuff, the forums on Battle.net are the best place?
Yeah, that's a great place to go. We we have our community team always watching there, and they bubble up a lot of the stuff from there straight to us, the dev team, while we're working on stuff. So
great.
1, 2, 3.
Yes, Trixler is all over that, by the way. So whenever you post stuff there, don't worry, Trixler reads. Trixler sees all.
I believe it. Trixler is everywhere on the internet.
Yeah, he is. Yes. So
shout out Trixler.
yeah, I'm scared. He's gonna pop out of the shadows.
Just
hello.
slowly sneak in behind you. Hello.
What about you, Gilly? Where can people keep up with you? Not this week because you're leaving tomorrow morning, but in general.
You guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, all Gillyweed SC2, like StarCraft 2. I'm done streaming until after the cruise, except for Gold League, as I mentioned before, at 2:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. That should be on Zoya TV, twitch.tv/Zoya TV, and it will be a best of 5. Other than that, I stream most weekdays, so once I'm back from the cruise, you can follow and come hang out with me there. What about you, Anna?
You can find me at Anna Prosser on everything except for YouTube, which is Anna Prosser TV. I know. I got to get that squatter off of there. But Anna Prosser on Twitter is the best place. That's usually where most information is centralized. So hang out with me there. And if you ever have questions, annaprosser.com is the best way to contact me and find all my other social media. As far as my schedule, not this week again, but my weekly schedule is that I'm on Misscliks D&D on Tuesday nights here on Misscliks, Eye on the Storm here on Thursday nights, Twitch Weekly on Fridays, and most often in the future we'll be doing Heroes Hype Amateur Series casting with Gilly as we move forward into the year on Wednesdays, which will be on twitch.tv/heroes_hype.
Yes.
So that's my schedule, and in between there I'm going to try to do some streaming as well. Thank you to all of you who encourage me to keep that up. Keep doing it. And don't forget to follow Misscliks, because we actually have a show every day of the weekdays, every weekday of the week. Every those days. Monday through Friday, we have shows now. So if you want to hang out with cool people and watch fun shows, tune into Misscliks every night. You can find something to watch. And we appreciate you tuning in. Kent-Erik, we appreciate so much having you as always, and thank you for bearing with us as we took you a few minutes over as always.
Oh, that's fine.
And
I'm so happy to be here and share all my excitement for these heroes.
Good. Well, thank you so
I
much.
can't tell you how awesome Greymane is. That's good. You guys can play him and see how amazing and fun he is. I love Greymane.
Yeah, and thank you to the Blizzard team. You guys, a lot of behind the scenes work went into this week's episode, getting us, as you can see, we even got special pictures that we got to use. We got to see those a little bit beforehand. Gilly was commenting on Xul's abs. She actually Skyped me, "You go, old man."
80 with great abs, man. He's got like an 8-pack.
Yeah.
He looks fantastic.
That we would all be that good looking.
I know. I mean, hey, how can you not comment, man? That guy is definitely in shape.
You know, we just have to learn the ways of the undead, and we'll probably be fit till we're 100, you know? It's just the way it goes.
That's amazing.
Well, anyway, guys, that's us signing off for this week. We will see you in 2 weeks from now, back here, same time, same place on Misscliks. Until then, have fun in the Nexus. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.